Welcome to Catt's Deal, Do It Ourselves, where I'm going to get you involved in doing a project ourselves. Deal. I have a 2009 Toyota RAV4, and it's got this minor power steering issue. So 2009 they have electronic power steering, and what is happening is there's a certain grab. The motor works, the electric motor works, but you have to overcome like a plastic friction. So when I did my research, everybody was pretty much saying that you have to change the motor, the steering column, and what I will attempt to do is, instead of doing that, is to lubricate that grab, that certain grab that was happening with this power steering, because I know for a fact that the electric motor works. It's just it'll grab and then it'll go, and then when you stop and you try to go the opposite way, it'll grab again. So there's got to be something plastic within the steering column, and if you're inside the driver's seat and trying to turn it, you can hear it. It's like about a foot from the steering wheel, a foot down in the column. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open it up and compare and see if I can make a difference. I have to go around this. It's a Suzuki 3-cylinder, but that's a different project. It's going to be for future. It's a right-hand drive. It's going to need a new head gasket, so I'm going to get the cylinder head machine shop. Back to this, the 2009 RAV4. Okay, so I'm inside. I'm on the driver's seat. What I'll do is maybe we can hear it better before I start the engine. Let me show you the grab I was mentioning, and it seemed like it's from the steering wheel. If you go down a foot from where I stand, the sound is coming from there. Let me turn it. There, the grab. Now, once you overcome the grab, after you overcome that grab, the power steering kicks in. You need a little bit of motion, like a little bit of motion for the motor to turn on. There's gotta be a neutral spot, which is like right now it's neutral, where the motor will not turn left or right. So there is this thing inside the column that's called the torsion sensor. So that torsion sensor is what I am suspecting. It's shielded by a couple of plastics and some wiring that's sensing your input. This is your input. Yeah. So once you jiggle the steering wheel even a little bit, it's supposed to, okay, now it's supposed to turn the steering wheel to the right and then to the left. And then once you crank it all the way, whatever position you wanted, if you stop, then the grab is going to happen again. So it doesn't matter where you stop, the grab from that plastic is happening. So you always have to overcome it. So my solution, I believe, is just to lubricate the plastic parts. And with that, I am going to try to spray it with some dry lube graphite. But the challenge is getting up underneath, disconnecting the universal joint there and dropping it, and hopefully there is no need to remove the steering wheel. If I can just drop the electric motor and spray some lubricant, we will be in the clear. So here we go with some noise. I'm going to start it. Power steering works. See, but I have to overcome. I stop here, then I have to overcome it again. There. And then power steering works. I stop, then I have to overcome. And then going back the other way, I have to overcome it again. Power steering is working. It's helping me. I stop. I'm gonna need to overcome that grab. There. And as you can see, it's not metal clanking sound. It's not metal to metal. It is definitely plastic sounding. So we'll see. Okay, so we'll start with the basics. There are 2 screws underneath to remove this plastic. And then once I get that off, we can see what we're dealing with. I'm also gonna remove this weather mat. Okay, so I got that cover panel removed. Once you get it removed, you're gonna see this here is the motor. That's the power steering motor. And there is a plastic gear that allows this motor to assist you turning left or right. Now the sensor I was talking about is just in front of the gear, right, like right here. That is where the sensor is. It's the torsion sensor. This is the logic electronic that sends the command to go left or right. So you need that initial movement. Not much, a few degrees. So there's a slack on the steering wheel, but the plastic somehow is grabbing. So what I needed to do now is somehow get this, open this up and move the whole shaft, I would say about 4 or 5 inches, just so I can spray. And if I can spray that dry lube graphite, put everything back together, then I think this is gonna be running smooth. Got a disconnect right here. And else I may have to, I think this is going to be in the way, but I'll see as I progress. And even this brake switch cover plate, I think we have a through bolt that may have to get disconnected, but from looking down underneath, it might be a simple job. We'll see. By the way, it's a good idea to keep the wheel straight, steering wheel straight, centered, and I'm going to start marking before I disconnect. Okay, so this is going to have a spline connection. I'm going to mark this right here, match it with this right here, so it'll be in the 6 o'clock position. It's got there's this plastic limit tab here, so I got to push that out, so that way when I disconnect, I loosen up this, I can drop this thing, it'll slide down. Okay, now so this is why it's important to mark it. I had just turned the steering wheel to the left so I can access the bolt. I have to loosen this one up, and it's 12 mm. Loosen it up, spread that open, and then we're going to drop the spline. Okay, so with the bolt out, this is the bolt. Again, it's at 12 mm. Try to spread this a little bit. What I did is I completely took the bolt out, pounded the screwdriver in a little bit. When I saw movement, this actually loosened up. See, it's ready to drop. So there is this plastic, again, this plastic limit. I just got to remove it and just push it. It's like a C clip, but it wraps around so it limits the travel. But now before you drop it though, remember we marked it, so we're gonna put it back on straight away. So put it back on the 6 o'clock position where our mark is. I need a key. And there we go. We're back to the 6 o'clock position. Now I can drop it. Again, I'm going to pull this. Okay, I will have a choice between these two, but seeing how the plastic might actually be Teflon that we are trying to lubricate, I think I'm gonna try to use the dry lube with Teflon first and see how it feels, and if it's unsatisfactory, then I'm gonna try the graphite. So that's what we got. With that disconnected and out of the way, it's time to disconnect the through bolt. That is where the pivot point is when you adjust the tilt. We are disconnecting that one through bolt. It's also 12 mm. Once we disconnect that, it will allow us to clear the mounting bracket just a couple inches, and then we can start removing the 3 bolts that would open this up, and we can drop it. I would say not even 4 inches, maybe just enough to clear this. Then I will be able to squirt the lubricant. So we'll go from there. Okay, disconnected the through bolt, allowed me to drop it a little bit, and then remove the 3 12mm bolts that holds this plate cover, and it's actually holding the whole spline shaft. So I suggest you loosen up the 3 bolts first before completely removing the through bolt, or at least before bringing this down and out, because I had to wrestle it and keep it from twisting. Now here we go. Let's see, we can work it. It's opening up a little bit. Wasn't too bad. As you can see, it's starting to show. All right, now I need to keep it in place. Don't really want to drop it all the way. Maybe it'll stay. Maybe it'll stay. Oh, this is where it's making contact right here, and it's aluminum. Aluminum on Teflon. It's got 150,000 miles, so I can understand why it is, I would say, bone dry. It is bone dry. Okay, I'm gonna spray some lubricant and see how it feels. I'm also gonna try to peer into the 2 plastic bands or Teflon bands I was talking about. Okay, we can see just one of the bands just beyond the bearing. So there'll be 2 plastic bands or Teflon bands, and right now it is bone dry. The bearing is good. The lubrication is gonna last 30-50 years, but somehow the Teflon wore out. It's making contact with these, and that's how it senses your input. These aluminum armature. All right, let's spray some graphite and put everything together and get a feel for it. I misspoke when I said I was going to squirt some graphite. I actually used, as planned, the dry lube with Teflon. And happy to report that the grab is gone. No more catching. So I'm gonna reinstall, put everything back, and go for a test drive. Tools we're gonna need for this job: Phillips screwdriver for the plastic cover, marker for the 6 o'clock position so you can keep the orientation of the steering wheel, bungee to hold it once you disconnect the universal joint, 5 bolts requiring 12mm wrench, screwdriver to pry it open so you can slide off the universal steering joint. Hammer is a little convincing to pry open the spline connection. And dry lube with Teflon. I did not use the graphite. I went with Teflon, noticing how the plastic is actually Teflon. And that's that. So, having finished the job, there's really no need for a test drive. However, well, here's the dry run. There is no grab. There is no more. This is smooth now. It's not being grabbed by anything anymore. And the plastic sound is gone. But we're gonna go ahead and start. Power steering, smooth now. Sweet. So mission accomplished on this do it ourselves. If I can do it, you can too.